Tensions between Hungary and Ukraine are escalating over Ukraine's bid to join the European Union, with Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban accusing Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky of using moral blackmail to pressure Hungary into supporting Kyiv's accession. The dispute, which has drawn sharp responses from both sides, shows deep divisions within the EU as it grapples with enlargement and the ongoing war in Ukraine. In a statement posted on Facebook, Orban criticized Zelensky's calls for EU nations to push Hungary to back Ukraine's membership.
It turned out that President Zelensky wants to decide what is best for Hungarians. He is again using his well-known tactic. He's trying to get a country to support its war efforts through moral blackmail. Your Excellency, Mr. President, with all due respect, Hungary has no moral obligation to support Ukraine's accession to the EU. Not a single country has blackmailed itself into the European Union, and it won't happen now either. The EU treaty states clearly, membership is decided by the member states unanimously. The Hungarian people have already decided. Their overwhelming majority said no to Ukraine's EU membership at Vox 2025. If President Zelensky wants to change this, the media campaign against Hungary is probably not the best way to make friends.
He pointed to Hungary's recent Vox 2025 national consultation, a government-led poll claiming 95% of over 2.2 million respondents opposed fast-tracking Ukraine's EU membership. Orban emphasized that EU membership requires unanimous approval from all 27 member states, and Hungary's stance reflects the will of its people. Zelensky fired back, calling Hungary's position irrational and suggesting Orban's opposition is driven by domestic politics ahead of Hungary's 2026 elections. Speaking at last week's European Political Community Summit in Copenhagen, Zelensky urged EU leaders to pressure Budapest, arguing that blocking Ukraine's EU path undermines European unity and aids Russia's interests in the ongoing war. Critics, including Ukraine's foreign ministry and Hungarian opposition figures, have dismissed the Vox 2025 poll as a propaganda stunt, with independent surveys showing Hungarians nearly split on the issue. The EU faces a dilemma as Ukraine pushes to open formal accession talks by year's end. Hungary has consistently stalled EU aid packages and accession negotiations for Ukraine since its candidacy began in 2022, citing concerns like the language rights of ethnic Hungarians in Ukraine. To address this, EU Enlargement Commissioner Marta Kuss led a delegation to Ukraine last week, meeting with the Hungarian minority to ease tensions. However, Kuss stressed that Ukraine must fully align with EU standards, particularly on rule of law reforms. For many Ukrainians, EU membership represents hope for a prosperous future, especially after Russia's invasion intensified pro-Western sentiment. However, a recent attempt by Kyiv to curb the independence of anti-corruption watchdogs raised alarms among EU governments, prompting a swift reversal after rare wartime protests. EU officials are exploring ways to bypass Hungary's veto, with some proposing changes to accession rules to allow progress without unanimous agreement. Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen, whose country holds the EU presidency until December, vowed not to let Orban dictate Europe's future. For now, technical work with Ukraine continues, but formal negotiations remain stalled. As the EU's next summit approaches, the debate over Ukraine's membership underscores broader challenges of enlargement. While Ukraine remains committed to reforms, Hungary's opposition and mixed public support across the EU, 52% in favor, per a recent Eurobarometer poll, signal a long road ahead.